So we're going to talk a little bit of our vision of what has been happening during the last 20 years or 23 years in Costa Rica from our point of view as real estate attorneys and also involving other sides of the real estate business in the country. So a little bit of our background. We met Jorge and I and our third partner, Alberto Sánchez, in 1999. We started working in one of the most traditional and one of the main law firms in Costa Rica, an old school law firm. And mainly, we were attending all the legal aspects of one of the major financial groups in Costa Rica. So we were involved with trustee companies, brokerage companies, factoring, leasing, the bank, so everything related to the financial industry. At some point, that was around 2000, around 2004, we were a little bit concerned that we were depending just in one client. So we started diversifying and getting involved into the real estate counseling business. And we started opening offices in the coastal areas like Tamarindo and at that time even in Santa Teresa. And also around the year 2009, we opened a trustee company to manage estate planning trusts and guarantee trusts to be used as collateral for loans. We also started in the business of structuring private financing mainly to real estate developers and projects. And then in the year 2012, we decided to establish our own law firm. It was called Integra Abogados. And 2 years later, in 2014, we were acquired by Ernst & Young, and we changed the name to EY Law. So like from 2014 to 2018, we were the three partners in charge of all the legal area of EY Law in Central America and Dominican Republic and Panama, seeing real estate, corporate, M&As, all the areas of law. Then in 2018, we decided to start a new law firm with one more partner. It's called Invicta Legal, and we decided to focus mainly in real estate. Currently, we are 4 founding partners, 4 additional partners, and 45 attorneys, and mainly in the real estate advisory area. Currently, we continue to be, the three of us, Jorge, Alberto, and myself, are involved actively in Invicta. We continue with our trustee business and the private financing business as well. And we have also invested in a rental management business in Turemar, that it's one of the major developments in Manuel Antonio. That is one of the major areas in tourism in Costa Rica as well. Up to this point, I want to make to put emphasis in one thing that was mentioned yesterday, that one of the major things that you need to focus is on the people when you're doing business. In this case, one of the keys for success for Jorge, Alberto, and myself was determining the personal aspects of ourselves and teaming together as well with the people that work for us. And that's also something that has attracted us to Yoko, because we really like the personal aspects of the people that are in the team. We admire Liran as a visionary leader, very action-driven, and also someone that is very resilient, that knows how to address any challenge and overcome any challenge. Okay, regarding the evolution of real estate, since 2000 up to date, in the Central Valley, the metropolitan area of Costa Rica, it has been very stable. This is one of the major developments in Santana. It's called Bosque de Lindora, and it has been, as I say, you don't have like peaks and downs. For example, in the year 2005, the prices for lots here were around $2,000 per square meter. Today, the prices are around $350 per square meter. So that's compounded.
200. You said
300.
2,000. You said 2,000? It's 200?
Okay, 200 and 350. Sorry. 200, 350. So that's a compounded interest rate of 4.8. So it has been very stable, but it's a good return for the real estate in the long term. Regarding the developments in the coastal areas, it's very different. From year 2000 to 2005, you were having an increase in the prices and also in the volume of transactions, and it really got crazy from 2005 to 2008. Then from 2008, you had the crash, and the prices, they fell, but not so much as in other places, at least in the major areas of development and the major towns in the coastal areas of Costa Rica, but the volume of transactions came down. Until like 2012. Then it stabilized, and the prices were stable, and also the volume of transactions, it was like in the medium range. Then in 2020, in mid-2020, during the pandemic, the prices started growing very rapidly, as well as the volume of transactions. And we have seen that it leveled around the middle of 2002. So the prices have been stabilized, as well as the volume of transactions, but still in the high range. And also what we have seen is that even if the prices have increased a lot in places like Santa Teresa, the beachfront Santa Teresa, where a lot of high net individuals have been buying properties, still, if you compare them to what they could buy in other places of the world, we are still very cheap. For example, people that buy beachfront properties here for $5 million tell us that in places like Malibu, it will cost like $20 or $30 million. So still the comparables are very like favorable for buying in Santa Teresa or other coastal areas of Costa Rica. One thing that happened as well in the real estate industry is that around the 2015, we started seeing a lot of people using Airbnb and getting into the short-term rentals. So now there's another incentive for investing in real estate. It started like a little bit timid, then it started growing, and especially after COVID, like in the mid-2020s, it was going crazy again. The prices were going up very rapidly, as well as the occupational rates. And currently, in most of the places, it's doing pretty well. But even in places that it's not so good, you are able to at least cover the expenses for the property. And in some places, you are even able to get like 15 ROIs. So very, very good rates for investing. One thing that it's important to mention is that the different type of buyers that we used to have in the year 2005 or 2008, the last boom, and now. At that point, in 2008, 2005, most of the people were buying for speculation. They were not buying with their own funds, where they were obtaining like second mortgages in the States, subprime loans. So they didn't have any staying power, and they were not like connected or attached to the properties. And that's one of the reasons why the prices came a little bit down after 2008, and people were trying to get out. Currently, it's a whole different story. It's people like you that have a different interest, that most of the times you're not using loans, you're buying with your own equity. You are seeing this as part of a diversified portfolio, and not only for the financial aspects. Most of the people want to buy because either they want to live in Costa Rica, they want to move to Costa Rica, to the coastal areas, they want to start a community and become part of the community, and they also take into consideration things like the well-being, the community, the environment, and a lot of other issues, and they want to be here for the long run. So either they are buying for living here, or they're buying a second home, but also to be used as short-term rentals. So we think that now it's a different story. The people that are buying have more staying power, so we don't think that in the near future there's going to be a drop in the prices, or we think that maybe it's going to be a drop in the amount of transactions because there's not too much inventory left, but at least we don't think it's going to be, we're not going to see a drop in prices. So as a conclusion of my part of the presentation, my vision is that, or what I have seen, is that investing in real estate in Costa Rica has been a good investment as part of a diversified portfolio, and in the long term, it's been pretty good compared to other options. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Juvenal. Well, good night to everybody. I'm Jorge. I'm going to talk a little bit about, what do we have here in Costa Rica other than Santa Teresa? I know that people come here to Santa Teresa and they just want to stay here like forever. When I met Juvenal in 1999, and the other partner we have, he's my cousin, so I know him since we were born. We were born with a week of difference, so I prefer to hang out with Juvenal because I've seen the other guy all my life. It was the first time I came here to Santa Teresa in 99. I remember I was going to law school at that moment, and I had a friend that I don't know, maybe some of you have heard of him. His name is Roberto de la Osa. He's a guy very active here in the community. And he was like the surfer guy from the university. And he always told us, look, my father has a place called Santa Teresa. That's Punta Arenas, Malpaís. And we're like, what the hell is that place? It's like you have to get the ferry with the golf, or we have to make a long drive to the peninsula. Streets were terrible at that time. They're still a little bit terrible, but you should see that at that moment. And, you know, as a guy from the city, because we are all from the city, from the Central Valley, I'll explain you later why is that almost all the Costa Ricans were living in the city, in the Central Valley. When we came here the first time, we have been to other places around the country, but this place like really was impressive to me. I was like, everything is like bigger, like the beach is so long, the waves, it's, you know, it's not the north part that it's that dry, or not the south part is that it's that rainy. It's like the perfect mix, and I was really impressed. And at that moment, nothing was happening here, but I just felt that this was going to be a place, you know, out of this world. And now we're seeing what is happening here 20 years later, 23 years later. So, well, if you decide to come here and make community here, you're going to want to travel around Costa Rica. So I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about the other places that are hot, I would say hot places, or very nice places that have different things. Even if you can see them, the pictures very similar, when you go to those places, you're going to see big difference in a very small country. The Central Valley, where most of the development has been in Costa Rica for all these years, is because at that moment, probably after 1821, where we became like an independent country from Spain, the activity that was like driving this country was coffee at that time. So the coffee was good to plant it in the Central Valley that had a very good height, a very good weather. It's not that hot as the coast, and less humid, etc. So everybody was settling down there because of the economy at the moment. We didn't have anything in the coast. We just had a port in the Caribbean and a port in the Pacific for the commerce, and that was it. I think nobody envisioned of the people that lived in the city all those years that this was going to become the real gold of the country, the coast. You know, it was people that was coming here. They had like a small home, and that was it. And that's why you don't see that much people of the city would, you know, kind of dominating the coast of Costa Rica. It's people that came later on in the late 20th century and early 21st century. And well, many of us just turned our eyes here and saw what was happening, but it was like, yeah, they're already coming. People from Canada, from the US, from Europe, and they were more visionary with that. And I think that's nice because, you know, this has been a very diverse country all the time, and I think that's going to give us more diversity, and it's better for our communities and, you know, for the country to continue to be diverse. So we're happy about that, and I think you have been very visionary coming to this place, and it's going to be a good lifestyle because in the end, you know, I was listening to Kyle, was her last name? Carmine. Yeah, she was talking, Charmaine. She was talking yesterday about quality of life, that she was like fed up with all that work in San Francisco. And I think that even we have worked very hard through our lives here as attorneys and making things, you can find balance very easily here in Costa Rica. And that's a good thing. So I think you can come to this country, still work hard and make your projects, but you can really find balance. And in the end, it's a short life. And we really have to look for that in our lives and be happy. That's about it. Okay, so making this very quick. Yeah. Okay, this is the Caribbean, Puerto Viejo. That's the other side of the coast. In the south part of the coast, mostly Europeans like to buy there and live there. It's a very clean and nice place. What can I tell you about this place as well? You wouldn't guess that there's so beautiful beaches in the South Caribbean of Costa Rica. There's a lot of African American culture there because many of the people that came from the Caribbean islands to work into that part in the probably 19th century stay there with their families. So you will see a very high influence in African American culture. It's very nice. Then you have the Fortuna. I don't know if you have heard of Arenal volcano. That's very famous. That's the north part. It's not coastal part, but it's very famous because it has a lot of hot springs, very nice hotels to relax. So that's a beautiful place that has been very, very visited from tourism. It has a very nice lake. It's artificial, but it's a big lake that has been there like for 100 years. Then we have, I'm going to the Pacific. I'm going to make a trip from the Pacific to the north part. In the south part of Costa Rica, we have the Peninsula de Osa. It's a very nice place. I've been there a couple of times. The thing is that it's very, very protected, but so much protected that you can even have that much development at all. So it's a very nice place to go visit, see a lot of sea life, etc. But it's not a place that is going to be developed, I think, at all. It's going to be very low developed, but I think it's good for the country to have a very large part in which we'll have a good diversity. So it's a place that you would like to visit eventually. Then we have the part of Uvita that is in like the center of the Pacific. We have a very iconic beach that has like the form of a whale tail. It's very humid over there, but people like it. It's more like places in the mountain. I will say Santa Teresa has everything because it has nice beaches, it has the mountain, it has nature, and then we have Manuel Antonio. That's where, I don't know who was like very happy with Jeffrey, you. In Manuel Antonio, we met Jeffrey in 2005, and Jeffrey was the person who referred us to Lirang. I met Jeffrey working as hard as he's working right now in your projects in 2005. He was doing things there. And I remember he was like a helmet, like, "Are you a good attorney?" And it was like, "Why? Are you going to make things happen or not?" Like, "Yeah, no, I'll do it." And it was like, "Okay, that's the people I like. I like bullshit attorneys just talking a lot of things." And yeah, we have known him since 2005. Then we have the area of Jaco. That's a little bit north. That's a very developed place. It's a beach town that, it's like if you go there, it's kind of messy, but it's fun. Yeah. Then we have the Nosara place. That it's a place that it's very similar in the kind of people that it's moving in the communities as Santa Teresa. I would compare them like to a very similar target in people. They have a very good protected area in the coast as we have here. It's not going to be a big development, and they have some mountains, but I don't think they're such as nice as this is Santa Teresa ones. Then we have another very developed community that it's Tamarindo, Playa Grande. It starts to get more dry in the north part. Then you get to Flamingo. That's another part in the North Pacific. You have Las Catalinas, that is like in a European town that they made, like a beachfront, very interesting, but it's a whole different concept of what you're looking here in Santa Teresa. And then you have the Papagayo Peninsula, when you have like very expensive homes, like high-end hotels. It's a very nice place. And then you have some protected areas and you get to Nicaragua. But finally, my favorite place, Santa Teresa. I think it's a very nice combination of everything that I've mentioned you, but even if you're staying here and you're making community here, Costa Rica is a very small place, so you we'll have a lot of more places to visit and enjoy while you make your life here. So, well, I hope you understood a little bit of the real estate market here. It's solid. It's been like always growing. We had some little bumps in 2008, but what country in the world did not? And I think we have very good years for us in I would say the next decade at least. We may have a little bit of a couple of bumps, but we're very positive of what's going to be going on here in Costa Rica. So thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the night.